Welcome to Brainish English Stories.
Exactly when the big party started, Layla couldn't tell exactly. Maybe her first real friend was the taxi. It didn't matter that she shared the taxi with the Sheridan girls and their brother. She sat in her own little space, and the cushion where her hand rested felt like the sleeve of a young man's suit, and away they drove, past dancing street lights, houses, fences, and trees. Have you never been to a big party before, Layla? But, my child, how strange, said the Sheridan girls. Our closest neighbor was 15 miles away, said Layla softly, gently opening and closing her fan. Oh dear, it was hard not to be as calm as the others. She tried not to smile too much, she tried not to care. But everything was so new and exciting. Meg's sweet-smelling flowers, Jose's long necklace, Laura's dark hair sticking out from her white fur like a flower in the snow. She would remember this forever. It even made her a little sad to see her cousin Laurie throw away the bits of paper from his new gloves. She wanted to keep them as a memory. Laurie leaned forward and put his hand on Laura's knee. "I see here, darling," he said. "The 3rd and the 9th like always."
Got it?
Oh, it was wonderful to have a brother. Layla felt so excited that if there had been time, if it hadn't been impossible, she might have cried because she was an only child, and no brother had ever said "I got it" to her, no sister would ever say, like Meg said to Jose at that moment, "I've never seen your hair look better than it does tonight." But, of course, there was no time. They were already at the big hall. There were taxis in front of them and taxis behind. The road was bright on both sides with moving lights, and on the sidewalk, happy couples seemed to float by, little shiny shoes followed each other like birds. Hold on to me, Layla, you might get lost," said Laura. "Let's hurry, girls, let's go quickly," said Laurie. Layla put 2 fingers on Laura's soft pink cloak, and they were somehow carried past the big shiny light and into the small room marked "Ladies." There were so many people there that it was hard to find space to take off their things. It was very noisy. There were benches on both sides piled high with jackets and shawls. 2 old ladies in white aprons hurried back and forth, carrying more things. Everyone was trying to get to the small table with a mirror at the far end. A bright light lit up the ladies' room. It seemed like it was dancing. When the door opened again and there was a burst of music from the big hall, the light almost touched the ceiling. Girls with dark hair and fair hair were fixing their hair, tying ribbons, tucking handkerchiefs into their dresses, and smoothing their gloves. Because they were all laughing, Layla thought they all looked beautiful. "Does anyone have any invisible hairpins?" someone asked. "It's so strange. I can't find any." "Can you help me with my back?" "Please," said another. "I need a needle and thread." "I've torn my dress," cried a third. "Then, pass them along, pass them along." The basket of programs was passed from one person to another. They were cute pink and silver programs, with pink pencils and fluffy tassels. Layla's hand shook as she took one from the basket. She wanted to ask if she needed one too, but she only had time to read, Waltz 3. 2 in a canoe. Polka 4. Making the feathers fly, when Meg asked, "Ready, Layla?" and they squeezed through the crowded passage towards the big doors of the hall. The dancing hadn't started yet, but the band had stopped tuning and the noise was so loud that it seemed like the music would never be heard. Layla, standing close to Meg, looked over Meg's shoulder and felt like even the little flags hanging from the ceiling were talking. She forgot to be shy, she forgot how she had hesitated to come to the ball. Instead, she felt a rush of happiness that was hard to contain. She held onto her fan tightly and looked around at the shiny floor, the pretty flowers, the lanterns, and the band in the corner. She thought, "This is so wonderful." All the girls stood together on one side of the hall and the boys stood on the other. The chaperones, in their dark dresses, smiled nervously as they walked carefully across the shiny floor to the stage. "This is my cousin Layla. Please be kind to her and find her dance partners. She's new here," said Meg, introducing Layla to the other girls. Strange faces smiled at Layla, but they seemed distant. They were more interested in the boys. Layla wondered why the boys hadn't started dancing yet. What were they waiting for? Then suddenly, as if they had just decided it was time, the boys started gliding across the floor. The girls got excited. A tall boy asked Meg to dance, then passed Layla on to someone else. "Oh, would you like to dance?" he asked with a smile. After that, other boys came to ask the girls to dance. Layla even had an older man asking her to dance. He took a long time looking at his program before he decided to dance with her. Layla felt a bit embarrassed. When the music started playing, the man disappeared into the dance and everyone started dancing. Layla learned to dance at boarding school. Every Saturday, they went to a small hall where Miss Eccles from London taught them. But compared to that hall, with its dusty smell and the scary lady playing the piano, this ballroom was amazing. Layla thought if no one asked her to dance, she might faint or want to leave through the window to the stars. But then someone offered her their arm, so she didn't have to leave. Another person held her waist, and she felt like she was floating. "This floor is good, isn't it?" someone said softly. "It's very slippery," Layla replied. "Oh, okay," the person said, surprised. They danced again. He danced so well. Layla thought dancing with boys was different from dancing with girls. Girls sometimes bumped into each other, but boys were gentler. The flowers on the walls didn't look like separate flowers anymore, they looked like pretty flags. "Oh, were you at the Bells last week?" the person asked tiredly. "No, this is my first dance," Layla said. Her partner laughed a little. "Oh, really?" he said. Yes, it's my first dance ever. I've always lived in the countryside until now," Layla explained. The music stopped and they sat down against the wall. Layla watched other couples dancing and disappearing through the doors. "Are you having fun, Layla?" asked Jose, smiling. Laura passed by and winked at Layla. It made Layla wonder if she was really grown up. Her partner didn't talk much. He coughed, adjusted his clothes, and removed a thread from his sleeve. But Layla didn't mind. As soon as the band started playing, her next partner appeared. "The floor's okay," the new partner said. "Did people always talk about the floor first?" Then he asked, "Were you at the Neves on Tuesday?" Layla explained again. It was strange that her partners weren't more interested. It was thrilling for her. Her first ball. She felt like she was just beginning everything. Before, nights were dark, quiet, and beautiful, but a bit sad. Now, everything was bright and exciting. "I want some ice cream?" her partner asked. They went to the supper room. Layla felt hot and thirsty. The ice cream looked delicious on little plates, and the spoons were cold. When they returned to the hall, the fat man was waiting for her by the door. Layla was surprised to see how old he was. He should have been with the older people on the stage. Compared to her other partners, he looked shabby. His clothes were wrinkled, a button was missing from his glove, and his coat seemed dusty. Come with me, little lady," said the fat man. They moved gently, more like walking than dancing. He didn't mention the floor. "Is this your first dance?" he asked quietly. "How did you know?" Layla wondered. "Oh well," said the fat man, "that's what happens when you're old." He sighed softly as he led her past another couple. "I've been doing this for 30 years. 30 years? Layla exclaimed. "That was before she was born." "It's hard to believe, isn't it?" the fat man said sadly. Layla felt sorry for him. "I think it's amazing that you're still dancing," she said kindly. The fat man said, "You're kind, little lady," and hugged her a bit closer. He hummed a bit of the waltz. "But of course," he said, "you won't last as long as I have." "No," said the fat man, "long before that, you'll be sitting up there on the stage, watching, in your nice black velvet. Your pretty arms will become short and fat, and you'll use a different kind of fan, a black, bony one." The fat man seemed scared. "You'll smile like the old ladies up there and point to your daughter. You'll tell the lady next to you how some man tried to kiss her at the ball. Your heart will ache." The fat man squeezed her closer, as if he felt sorry for her heart, "because no one wants to kiss you now. You'll complain about the polished floors, how unsafe they are." "Right, Mademoiselle Twinkletoes?" said the fat man softly. Layla laughed lightly, but she didn't feel like laughing. Was it all true? It sounded true. Was this her first and last ball? The music changed, sounding sad, rising in a sigh. Oh, happiness didn't last forever. Forever wasn't too long. "I want to stop," she said, breathless. The fat man led her to the door. No," she said, "I won't go outside. I won't sit down. I'll just stand here, thank you." She leaned against the wall, tapping her foot, fixing her gloves, trying to smile. But deep down, a little girl cried. Why did he ruin everything? "I'm just joking, little lady," said the fat man. "As if I'd believe you," said Layla, tossing her head and biting her lip. Couples danced again. Doors swung open and shut. New music played. But Layla didn't want to dance anymore. She wished she was home, listening to baby owls on the veranda. When she looked at the stars through the dark windows, they seemed to have wings. Then, a soft, sweet tune started, and a young man with curly hair bowed to her. She had to dance, politely, until she found Meg. Stiffly, she stepped into the middle, putting her hand on his sleeve. But within a minute, she glided. Everything, the lights, the flowers, the dresses, the faces, the chairs, became a beautiful, spinning blur. When her next partner accidentally bumped into the fat man and said, "Sorry," she smiled at him brighter than before. She didn't even remember him.